Hey, what's going on, guys? Reaper here. So, the other day I had a doctor's appointment that I've been waiting for about a month. And I haven't mentioned anything about it because I wasn't sure what type of news I was going to get. But as it turned out, it wound up being really great news for me. For those of you that don't know, Father Time and I actually got in an MVA, or motor vehicle accident, sometime last year. And as a result, I damaged my shoulder pretty badly. So what happened was, we're coming down the highway and hit an overpass that makes a real large hump and then drops down like this. And it was a little bit later in the day where the sun was over here directly in our field of view. Father Time was driving, and I just happened to see and catch what was about to happen. I essentially braced myself. I was kind of not sitting straight out. I was sitting at an angle, so when I put my arms out, my left arm was more locked into place than my right. So we hit it about 60 miles an hour. On impact, all that energy and that force went straight into my shoulder. I went in to get x-rays done, no breaks, no cracks, nothing like that. So the whole thing there was kind of a relief, but originally we were supposed to get an MRI done. Never happened. I got dealt with the pain for a while, and then it seemingly kind of got better. Thought my arm had basically healed. And about a month ago, I was moving some stuff and wasn't really using my arm for carrying the load, but more of a stability thing, but there was still weight on it. The worst pain of my life went through my shoulder, up through my neck, my arm, and I thought, okay, yeah, it's definitely not healed. And the bad news I thought I was going to get from this last doctor's appointment was having to go through surgery, which would have really, really sucked. Good news I got from the doctor is that there's no need for an MRI, no need for surgery. Anyway, other thing. So in my Willie's Jeep video, I kind of said that I didn't need any more projects, but I kind of might have gotten another project vehicle. Okay, I know guys, yeah, I know, yeah, you don't need any more projects. I hear it all the time, I know. But this is actually one of those projects that isn't going to take me years to do or finish. This is going to be something like 2 weeks. Yeah, this is a good deal. It was a good thing. Just hold on. Yeah, I'd say last week sometime I went to my buddy's store in town, and other buddy came out and asked me if I had any use for, or if we needed a certain vehicle. And at first I was like, nah, but then I got to thinking about it and said, yeah, well, as it turns out, he only wanted a couple $100 for it. And the more I thought about it, knowing kind of what's got to be done to it, I couldn't pass that up. It's too good of a deal. All right, anyway, camera died, had to switch the phone. But anyway, it is a 94 Chevy Cheyenne 1500 V6. Does have a clear title with it, so just do some work here and there on it. It's not in bad shape, which is crazy to think about because it's, well, been sitting for quite a while, been used for farm stuff here and there. That door needs to be readjusted in the hinge. It's got no real rust in it, like the body's not rusted or anything. So clearly it isn't 2 weeks later. So the reason it's been a year or a little over a year now and the truck still isn't running or going instead of the 2 weeks that I originally planned on is because the guy I bought the truck from was originally under the impression that it had some transmission issues. However, once I got it here, you know, loading it, unloading it, driving around, moving around a little bit up here on the property, I don't think it's actually a transmission problem. It'll basically start and run, as you guys can kind of see, but it doesn't really want to move too much under its own power. You really got to give it a lot of gas and have your foot on the brake. I took it out of four-wheel drive because it was in four-wheel drive when I got it, and still kind of had the same issue, but it really just didn't feel like a transmission problem. But going off of that information anyway, I put in a search and started looking around here locally and, you know, in a few other states, and just trying to source a transmission for this truck just in case. Unfortunately, there hasn't really been anyone local or even semi-local that have one, and everyone else that I did call to find a transmission for this truck, they're all used transmissions and they come with a limited warranty, and were just way high in price. I mean, way more than I really wanted to spend. So at the time, that Tony was actually working for a tow company up in the Springfield area, and I kind of gave him the rundown on what the truck was doing and how it was acting. It turns out that he kind of knew a guy that was having some of the same problems with the truck, I think that was a year earlier in mine, so in 93. Asked him, the guy got back to him, said it was something like a throttle position sensor, I think. So ultimately, the initial plan was to go ahead and get one of those, put it on, and see if that changed anything. Haven't done that yet. Me and Tony got together and started the truck back up to see if we could get it to move, and so he could kind of take a look at it and see if he thought it was a transmission or any problems with the transmission itself. Unfortunately, we really didn't get it full on running. As you guys can kind of see here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get the thing started to kind of figure out if it really is a transmission problem or not. Don't think it really is, but we're gonna find out. She's trying. You're gonna have to give it like gas when.
Are you really telling me how to do this?
Well, I'm just letting you know from my experience with it, like getting it started.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna run rich, but to keep it running.
Yeah, it's an old truck.
Yeah, I know, but this thing is like a lot worse than that one. You like really have to hold it down.
Have you seen my trucks?
Do they run?
Half-ass?
So how many times does this make for you being inside of my bonnet?
A couple times.
Good Lord! Explosion of catastrophe. So, if you look here, this is kind of gross. It wouldn't normally look like that, but yeah, it's gonna need some work.
All right, quit.
Yeah.
All right, try one more time. All right, forget about it.
Forget about it, he says.
Don't worry about that.
And this may be the main reason it's having issues with running properly, is the carburetor is really nasty. Some of the plastic pieces in there are actually melted. So the new plan is to go ahead and get a new carburetor, put it on first, and then go from there. So back when I first got the truck, I didn't really get a chance or opportunity to really kind of explain all the details and what was going on. So I bought the truck for $200 with a clear title from a friend of mine that's kind of semi-local, and he basically just used the truck as a farm truck. He was hauling firewood and stuff around his property. Now originally he obtained a truck from an individual that had, I think, 3 or 4 of these things and a bunch of parts. The guy unfortunately passed away, so he wound up with these trucks. Well, at the time he had kind of like this kid working for him on his property, and made a deal with the guy and said, hey, look, you can have this truck if you take it and put it all back together and get it running and all that. So you can see that it has a different hood, fender, part of the lights, the grill, you know, that whole kind of front part of the clip is all removed right now. The wiring harness is off, the exhaust is unhooked, you know, there's just various bits and pieces of things that have to be put back together and put back on this truck. No big deal. I mean, that's all kind of like a cakewalk, you know, that's nothing super major. And pretty much everything that's needed came with the truck. I've even got a bed liner for it. It's a pretty clean interior for being a truck from '94. I mean, it seems to have been pretty well taken care of. The dash isn't really cracked or anything like that. But, you know, for everything you see here, $200 for a '94 C1500, That's just, that's a hell of a deal, man. I couldn't pass it up, especially for a running truck. I mean, that's just about unheard of. Granted, it does need a few things here and there and to get it back in tip-top shape, but for a roller, man, you can't buy one of these trucks for $200. It's basically clean, very little rust. Anyway, guys, I'm pretty serious about getting this thing running soon, especially with having all the problems from Father Time's truck and having to pull it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it going and turn it into my daily driver. So finally have my own truck, with the exception of that one time we had the 81 1-ton. That was my daily driver for a while. It is no longer here. You know, I sold it a handful of years ago, so it is gone. But now it's time to get a good, reliable second truck going. So I'll be keeping you guys posted and updated on that.